Okay, go ahead, Brandon Gurney. Your first
Hey,
question.
Matt, Coach kind of regaled about just how ready you guys were to get going and impressed with the off-season workouts you guys have been able to do, citing that it might even be better than most years. Can you maybe just give an overview of what you've done personally and how the team's been able to work out and ready itself for this season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once you get older, you just kind of are self-motivated to get as good as you can be as a football player. So during the quarantine, we weren't allowed to be at BYU or anything like that. So it was more just finding places to get better. And there were a couple spots where I was allowed to train and work hard in the off season. So I was able to just change my body and get in good shape. And I just feel really good. And I feel like a lot of players, not having to necessarily feel like they're required to be at these workouts, they're kind of self-motivated. I feel like that brought more out of the player, and it's just been exciting to see just being able to be with everyone today and yesterday as a whole group has been really cool. And it's just, I don't know, everyone just seems excited and just glad to be back.
How well were you able to keep in touch with your teammates throughout all this, and how did you guys work together?
Yeah, so it was a little bit different because we were encouraged to go home to our families because no one really knew what was going on. So a lot of guys went to Arizona or California, just wherever they're from. So, I mean, the coaches, we would have Zoom calls. We would have player Zoom calls. We have the player chat on just one of the messaging apps. And we just tried to stay in touch as good as we could and check in on each other. And yeah, everyone seemed like they were doing well. So once we were allowed to start having workouts, we were kind of split up into smaller groups, but it was fun to be back and start working together. And now that we're all together, we're just trying to stay cautious, but it's just good to just get practicing and working out and just running with the guys. So we're excited.
Thanks.
Go ahead,
How are you guys able to stay just focused with so much uncertainty with the season right now, Matt?
I guess the biggest thing is you never know. Like, no one really knows what's going to happen, even with hopefully the NFL has a season, and it seems like they will. But you're not going to progress or get any better just kind of moping around or sitting at home. So the biggest thing is just to hope for the best, say that there's a season, and hope that there's a great schedule ahead of us. I mean, we've lost some games, but I know the administrative staff is working really hard to just schedule us in with the best competition possible that will be out there. So we just trust that, and we know, although it is really uncertain, it seems like there's going to be a season, and it seems like we're going to be playing games. So once you're out there, it's pretty easy to be motivated just to be playing the game that you love. So we're just trying to enjoy it, and especially the seniors, it might be some guys' last go around. So they're just soaking all of it in while they can.
How does this day one compare to all your previous day ones of fall camp, especially with the uncertainty of not uncertainty, but the unusual circumstances of spring?
It was interesting just to see like where everyone was going to be at. Just to see like, okay, is everyone going to be ready for this? And we were confident that guys were going to be ready, and the coaches wanted us to work really hard, and we all did work really hard in the off season. So it felt pretty normal to me, honestly. Yeah, the masks are kind of weird and kind of the hassle to put it underneath your helmet and run around, and we're just trying to adjust to circumstances. So, I mean, the practice was all the same, the meetings are all the same, but just trying to be cautious about the coronavirus. That's the only weird thing. I mean, everything football related has been all the same.
Thank you.
Okay, Norma, then Jake.
Hey, Matt, I was just wondering, because it seems that in Utah particularly, more and more younger people are testing positive with the coronavirus. Just last night, there was a photo that came out from a bar in Salt Lake City showing a bar completely filled with young adults and no one wearing masks, no social distancing. Does it make it harder to kind of be in this group with these young adults who may not understand the full repercussions of things? Or do you have, like, I know some of you guys are on the older side. So I guess what's the sort of mentality, especially with the younger ones, and just how you guys are trying to make sure there is a season?
I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing is to do all that we can so that there is a season, and do all that we can so we don't have to be quarantined for 2 weeks during the season if us or a position or a teammate were to contract the virus. So we're just doing all that we can to obey what the coaches and the training staff is saying. That's the biggest thing. You just have to listen to what people are telling us to do. And although it's a little bit different, it's kind of throwing a curveball in sports or in life in general. As long as you just kind of buy in and listen to the people that are actually experts on this, it's yeah, we're young, we feel like we're healthy, but it's you just got to do what people say. And I mean, even as members, the prophet is counseling us to, members of the church, I mean, there's a prophet counseling us to abide by the laws and everything, or the rules and regulations. So shoot, if he's saying it, you might as well just do it, even if it is a little bit different into the routine. So yeah, there's a lot of circumstances that, or consequences if we don't wear masks and guys get the virus. It could jeopardize the season, it could jeopardize games, it could jeopardize practice. So we're doing all that we can to mask up and stay out of high risk areas, and just hopefully it can stay that way and until the season happens, or if we have to do it throughout all season, or who knows for how long, we plan on just doing what they say.
And what has it felt like seeing it over the past couple months, just seeing different programs all over the nation being like 12 players tested positive, 14, 10, and just seeing how it can really affect anyone, any team, no matter the age?
I think that just shows why we need to take it seriously, because say we're in week 3 or something like that and the whole offensive line tests positive, that I don't know. I don't really trust myself playing center or offensive guard. So that would be a huge curveball, and that would be really tough. So the biggest thing is just to take it seriously and just be cautious and social distance. But yeah, we just want to play, and that's, if we have to do it, we will do it.
Jake, go ahead.
Matt, you flirted obviously with potentially jumping into the NFL draft this past offseason. You decided to come back. How different was your training as you get ready for your senior year as compared to previous years, if anything?
I would just say I mean, it's everyone's dream to go to the NFL. And once you kind of see it's kind of within your grasp, you're like, man, this is actually something that can happen. It just put things into perspective and be like, okay, I need to work on my body. I need to get stronger. I need to just get as good as I can, or fix the things, my little weaknesses or technique that I need to get better at. So it just put things more into perspective, and it was like, okay, I need to prove that I can play at that level and that I can compete like an NFL tight end. So it motivated me to work harder and just to see that my goals were within reach. So I think a lot of guys on the team, like a lot of people want to compete for a starting job at the college football level. That's big time. So hopefully, I know a lot of guys around us at BYU have that mindset, and hopefully everyone does, because you can really get a lot more out of yourself and just get that untapped potential within reach, or grasp that. So it was a good off season for me, and I'm excited for the season.
You're leading a relatively young position group as a senior with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. How different is your role this year, do you feel like, as that senior leader?
The biggest thing, I mean, is just to be consistent, just be a guy on offense that people can look to, and that can be that consistent player that's making plays every day in practice and in every game, and just doing my job. I think with young guys, they just need to feel that they can gain confidence and stay confident during games or in practice when coaches are kind of getting on you for making mistakes. And once you can kind of get over that barrier and just be like, okay, next play, I got this, just keeping a high level of confidence, you can just be such a better player, and you can the game slows down for you. So just kind of being that example where being a confident player that is staying out there and just doing my job every time, that will just help the younger guys see that it's possible, and just have someone showing them the way.
Ben, go ahead.
Hey, Matt. Can you speak specifically to the progress that you've seen from Zach Wilson this offseason and catching from him and running routes for him?
Yeah, so he was kind of jumping back and forth from California and back and forth from California to Utah. So I'd throw with him and work out with him, and when we were only allowed to have 10 people or less in a group, we'd kind of get a small group just to throw. And yeah, he looks good. He looks confident. His body, he was able to get stronger and just get that strength around his shoulder so he can zip those balls into tight areas. And who knows, there's that quarterback battle going on in fall camp. And I mean, I was able to train and work with all three quarterbacks and just kind of balance it out so that I could continue to build chemistry with them. And I mean, they were all competing out today, and they look good. So whoever gets the job, I'm just looking forward to winning games and making plays with them.
And what do you like about Jaron and Baylor's skill set? That I mean, obviously you've been building chemistry with them. What do you like about those two quarterbacks?
Yeah, so Jaron is just an athlete. He's just a guy that has God-given talent, and he doesn't just sit with that. I mean, he works to improve, and it's just impressive the things that he can do on the field. So when there's plays that kind of look like they're going to be broken down or that the defender's going to make a big play, he makes guys miss and can throw a nice ball too when he's under pressure. So that's been really cool. And just Baylor, he's able to stay poised. He just can. It's almost like he doesn't see the mayhem in the pocket and just doesn't really worry about that and just stays in there and just tosses it to the right guys. So they all have different little strengths and things that they do differently, but I'm confident with all of them and just hope we can succeed with whoever gets the job.
Thanks, Matt.
Dick, let's go with you.
I just have a question because we didn't get to see a lot of spring, and obviously we're not going to see now. What is your take on some of the tight ends that you're helping to tutor, your group that you're working with? What are your observations about some of those that we've seen and some of those that we have not seen at all?
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty big group of tight ends right now. So just our room, we have, I mean, Isaac Rex has been working hard, and he's young, but the coaches are expecting him to just do his job and be out there and just be a reliable guy for this team. So he's been working hard, and he was back and forth in California from Utah. So I was working out with him here and there during the quarantine. But yeah, I mean, there's Carter Wheat, who he's just he's a good athlete. So we're confident that he can step up and do what the coaches need. There's a new guy, Lane Lunt, who came from a junior college, and he's just going to be competing in there also. So it'll be interesting to see who, when we have those 12 and 13 personnel packages, who's going to fight for those spots. And there's going to be a lot of competition. I mean, we have Mason Wake, who's like more of a fullback, but he likes to, when people call him that he's the semi truck, he's just gets it done, likes to hit people and likes to do his job. Hank Tuipulotu's fighting, and he's looking good out there. He's fighting back from those knee injuries, and it'll be exciting if we can get him out there cleared and ready to go. So yeah, I mean, we have a pretty stacked room. Bentley Hanshaw's a younger guy also. Kyle Griffith's one of the older fullbacks, and he's a good leader. So yeah, it's just an exciting young group, and there's a lot of players, but only a couple spots. So they're going to be really fighting for those few extra. When we have those bigger tight end packages, it's going to be interesting to see who takes over.
Which one reminds you the most of Matt Bushman?
I mean, that's hard. Everyone's a little bit different, but I think a lot of them have potential. But I mean, I think we'll see a lot of Isaac Rex this year. he's a bigger body. He's a little bit taller than me, and he can move well. So if he can just get out there and stay confident, I think he can be a really good player this year, and he has a lot of potential. So looking forward to running out there with him and making plays with him.
Okay, we're going to go with Jared and Jay for the last two questions from Matt. And then if you have your hand up and we didn't get to you with Matt, we will start with you with Isaiah Kafusi. So go ahead, Jared, and then Jay.
Matt, I just wanted to ask, and I don't know if you've got teammates or you personally have been impacted by the virus. I imagine in a group as large as a football team that there's got to be some people that either have family or friends that have been impacted by the virus. Do you feel like that makes a difference, seeing that perspective, whether you personally or from your teammates, that you guys see, hey, this thing's real. It really does impact people, and then that affects kind of your approach to all of the restrictions and things you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You see the just like some of the horrible stories that your loved ones are passing away, and you don't want to see that. You don't want to be guilty for going and getting your grandma sick and getting her in the hospital or something. I have my wife, Emily's pregnant right now, and they're kind of at a higher risk to be hospitalized. So, like, there's no like mortality rate or anything that's super high with them, but yeah, it's a higher risk for them to be hospitalized. So, I mean, there's certain players that have different situations, and you have to take it seriously because you don't want to be the young kind of rebellious guy who just goes out and ends up getting people sick that you love and care about. So it definitely has helped. We just have that serious approach where, I mean, we are going to listen to what the trainers and the coaches say. Even though it looks kind of funny wearing a mask out in practice with your helmet on, you just got to do it. Even though these times are kind of weird, you just kind of have to live with it and be obedient. So yeah, everyone's situation's a little bit different, but you just hear about those things and you have to take it seriously.
Has it changed your perspective on football?
I mean, it would really stink if the season got canceled. So it makes you just be grateful for every moment, just with the team or with everyone around you. So you just really have to cherish the moments. I mean, if we get a season, it'll be a bonus, and we're really grateful for that, and that we get to be out here practicing. So I guess that's the biggest perspective. You don't realize that a sport can be almost eliminated from your life, and if you have the opportunity, just go out and make the most of it.
Thanks, Matt.
Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, Matt, over the weekend, the Pac-12, a bunch of players in the Pac-12 listed some demands that they said need to be met before they'll play this season. Has any of that caught on at BYU? Have you heard of any players, and were any BYU players contacted to join that movement, as far as you know?
Yeah, I mean, every player knows about it. That kind of took over social media. So a lot of guys have just read over it and saw the demands and saw that some were kind of maybe a little too out there, that a quick change probably won't happen. So, I mean, there was some discussion within the team. We had a little player meeting and talked about it and just kind of saw that, okay, this stuff might not happen in the super near future. So we might as well just focus on the season, and if there's small changes that we need to make around BYU, sure, we'll discuss that with coaches and other people, but I don't know of any BYU players joining that movement or choosing to opt out. So that's the most so far. I mean, it's a pretty recent thing, and we're just discussing it and trying to figure everything out so that we can keep everyone here and keep everyone happy so that we can have a successful season.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. We're going to bring in Isaiah Kafusi now, and we'll start with Mitch and Dana with questions. And then everyone else, same thing. If you want to ask a question, get your hand